There's a version of you that gets the call on a Tuesday morning, restructuring, elimination, and we're going in all different directions. And your first thought is not panic, it's fine. My pipeline is full. My platform is building. I got referrals, 3 different active conversations going on right now with organizations that want my expertise as an advisor. So I know that's what you're going through. That's the version of you that currently exists. You just haven't built toward them yet. Come on. So today, we're going to talk about what that actual build looks like. So if you guys are new to this podcast, this is for my founding director level VP, people that are looking, that are in that space into where they have 5, 10, 20 years of expertise. Now they're looking to supplement, complement, or even go into full-time advisory or partnership or consulting situations, right? So if you're new here, let me know if this episode really resonated with you. So I want to talk about executive optionality, right? And you should have that choice. It's not quitting, it's the freedom to make a choice to stay, leave, or pivot without financial fear forcing the decision. So it requires 3 things, working simultaneously. A parallel income stream, right? You're getting your check, you're getting paid, you're getting your direct deposit. Cool. And then you have an external platform that the market will recognize and see value in. And then that's where you can start pipelining active opportunities in which you want to get paid for your services. That's how you should be thinking. But most corporate leaders have none of these. They're just, hey, I'm going to retire from this situation. But then when the market turns, when we have like a crisis in the economy, people are getting laid off, people are downsizing, companies are downsizing, and then you're out of a position. And it's not because, you lack the experience. You got the experience. You just don't have the system. So I want to show you guys how to build them alongside of your full-time role. Now, that's what I do. I have clients. I strategically help them map out what works best for them. So here's a simple test. So if your company eliminated your role tomorrow, how long could you maintain your lifestyle? That means going out to eat. That means insurance. That means your kids' extracurricular activities, all of that stuff. How long could you maintain your salary and your lifestyle without your current salary? Now, if the answer is less than 12 months, you don't have optionality. Old verbiage, you're a salary slave, right? So you don't have options at this point. You have dependency. So there's no judgment in that because a lot of people don't know this side of, entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship, right? Whatever you want to call it, advisory, consulting. And this is a real business, right? But there's urgency though that you should have in looking for leverage. And the first leverage point is income diversity. So you don't want to be dependent on your salary. Say you're making $250,000, 200 or 175, 150. That's cool, but you just don't want to be dependent on it. It's dangerous. The first income stream outside of corporate doesn't need to be large. It just needs to exist. And then once it exists, we can grow that, right, to something substantial. So $2,000 a month in consulting income is not retirement money. Of course not. Can't do that. But it's definitely proof of concept. It proves the market sees value in your expertise, right? The way you think, right? The way you articulate your thoughts online, right? And that's going to be independent of your title. So it also changes your psychology and how you view corporate America or corporate in general. You're going to show up differently once you start to cross that threshold. That same analogy, you're making your $2,000 a month and you start to see that's going to trigger something in there like, I can do that. You're going to get some small wins. So you're going to show up differently at work because you innately understand that you're building leverage and you're not trapped.
I want to take a pause for a second and talk about your confidence, right? You got the experience, the results, the credibility, but when it comes to putting your voice out there, fear creeps in. Who am I to do this? Does that sound familiar? That's imposter syndrome, and it's keeping you small. My coaching is about breaking through that, helping you turn your expertise into content, conversation, and coaching that builds real influence in your industry. So if you're done hiding behind titles and ready to lead with your story, head over to connectingwithcreatives.com/coaching and let's get started. I'll see you soon.
So the second leverage point is authority positioning. So authority positioning means that you're a thought leader. People recognize you publicly for your stance on a certain topic, niche, industry, right? So you having a public opinion about something and you're consistently talking about it, right? You're consistently going to the market about it and have social proof, have tangible proof of results. Then when you're not in the room, you're going to be spoke about. People are, oh, did you hear about Jay on this topic of creating multiple streams of income, podcasting, yada, yada. I will be known for that. Right? Podcast, speaking on that, right? A LinkedIn presence with a clear point of view, a speaking record. These are not personal branding exercises. These are leverage. These are how you're building authority over time. They all market signals, right? So when people search you, when they Google you, when they're on LinkedIn and they're typing in these certain keywords, you're going to come up for these things. When someone does that and you're popping up and they see they have several different touch points, right, for them to make a purchasing decision, because you need those. That's data, right? You need an average of 6 to 7 touch points for a consumer to make a purchasing decision. You will be known for that and found for that, right? Or considered for the opportunity. But when you're Google now, or you search on LinkedIn, what comes up? Now, if the answer is not much, that's a leverage problem, not an expertise problem, but a leverage problem. And the third leverage point is market visibility. Visibility is not about being seen everywhere. You really want to be intentional about it because your market is not everywhere. It's about being findable by the right people. So the executives who command advisory opportunities or advisory fees, right? Board consideration are findable in the right market. You're findable in the right market. So they come up in conversations, right? In board meetings or advisory meetings, executive meetings, stakeholder meetings, you're going to come up, right? When you're not in those rooms, you're going to be the first thought. That's how we need to shift and leverage your authority. And that doesn't happen by accident. It happens by design. Now, I lived this firsthand. I'm still getting opportunities because I have a podcast. And I'm very specific about what I'm talking about and who I'm able to help. So the podcast is the most significant and most efficient tool available to creating relationship. Because remember, you're all about depth. You like intelligence. You like valuable information to provide solutions to whatever transformative situation you want the outcome to be. So every guest you have on, imagine if your strategy was interviewing your future clients. That's a legit strategy. And I incorporate that strategy myself, right? When I have guests on, it's somebody that I want to provide value to, or I can provide value to, or I want my audience to get something from what they have to offer, right? And every episode is a distribution asset. I want to be clear about and direct here with you about how someone responds to clear logic and not pressure, tactics. The market for the senior expert rewards, visibility, right? And recency, right? It awards visibility and recency. So if you did something 2 years ago, but you haven't done none in between that time, man, they moved on. Attention span is quick. The algorithm is going to put somebody else in that position. So the executive who built a platform 3 years ago, like I said, definitely is going to have a compounding effect and an advantage over someone that's inconsistent. So like someone that starts today. So corporate restructuring is accelerating across every industry. And we can see that just like with AI and with these tools that are coming, which is great because you can leverage those same tools too, but you want to have leverage. You want to create and present yourself to be irresistible in the market. And the only way you do that is thought leadership. So the question is not whether your role will be affected, because it will. The real question is whether you'll have built something outside of your company to where you have leverage. And here's the piece most people don't really consider when it comes to building their authority or podcasting. Your current title is an asset with an expiration date. That's just what it is. And that's the difference. You don't have leverage. You have an end date. You have a funeral, your current title. Those are facts. Whether you want to leave voluntary or the market decides for you. So right now, when you reach out for a podcast guest, they take the meeting. When you position yourself for an advisory conversation, your title opens the room. That leverage doesn't disappear when you leave, but it diminishes though. Right. So if you're not known for executing and at this certain cachet or the certain level outside of your company, it's going to diminish when you leave because you have no authority equity outside the company. So the time to build is while the title is working for you. It's the easiest way to get opportunities when you have your role. So not after it stops. So this is the best time to build while you have your position. Because you get insight, you get meetings, you could talk about real life situation, what the market is currently doing, what you're dealing, how you're leading your teams, how you're leading transformation. You could do that right now. So I want to give you the actual picture, not the highlight reel. If we're taking 12 months to build, not 12-week, shortcut. Month 1 and 2 positioning is more about positioning and clarity and platform setup. Right. I'm trying to meet you guys where you guys are at. And we're playing the long game here. Right. And it could pop up for you early, but realistically, this is what we should be kind of setting the bar at. So in that time, you're going to define your specific lane and you're going to refine it and you're going to find what was working, how you want to structure it, and you'll catch a flow. So then you launch the podcast infrastructure. So in the first 4 to 6 months that you record episodes, like in that period, the market asset exists. So now you have a foundation, right? So month 3 and 4, now, so those first months you're doing solo episodes, you might get certain opportunities. They might hit you up. You might outreach, cool. But month 3 and 4, now you should have more guests. Now, when you reach out to guests, they're going to be more prone to come on. You start building, you start bringing in, intentional, like I said before, intentional guests who you want to partner with, have as a client, and you can also help. That's a game changer right there, right? That's the whole purpose of having a podcast, or you want to bring value to your audience, right? So authority by association begins building, right? So month 5 and 6, the first consulting or advisory, opportunity is probably going to be knocking on your door. Like, let me in. I've seen so much about you. I love the way that you position this. I wasn't thinking like that, but I like, how you frame that. Yeah. What are your thoughts? You're going to start to get those conversations. So now if the platform is positioned correctly, you'll have those high level conversations. I guarantee you, but you have to be consistent. And this is not a guaranteed at month 5, but typically this is what I see. But it rarely comes before the leaders who commit to the system. So if you think that it's going to work just based on like your past experience, man, I don't know what to tell you. I want to manage your expectation. It's not going to happen like that. Just like with anything, you got to be consistent. Now we're in month 7, through 12. So the pipeline is deep. It deepens right here. Now you're going to start getting a consistent flow because you've been consistent. So now the asset is compounding. Episodes from month 2 are still generating conversations, right? The platform is working without your constant attention. The executives who have optionality, they didn't get there by working harder inside their company. They start to leverage their expertise outside of their company to build something that will give them optionality and flexibility. So consistently over time before the market will tell you different. So preparation times, right, is discipline equals the compound effect. That's my mantra. I've been living by that and I have proof, right? Like with my clients, with myself, my personal life, when I prepare and I'm consistent and I'm showing up, opportunities just come knocking at my door. So that's not a motivational line either. That's math, right? So if you have more opportunities and you're prepared for those opportunities, is very optimistic in your favor. Not saying it's going to be perfect, right? Executive optionality is not a destination, right? It's a decision. The decision is to build the parallel infrastructure, the platform, the pipeline, the opportunities, right? The positioning, right? And that makes your authority, that makes your future like bright. I want to see where you are at, and I'll speak on that at a later time. But if this resonated with you, let me know in the comments. Email me, hit the link in the description, and let's hop on the call. I'll see you guys on the next one.